Bruno is the president of Cicero US, the American subsidiary of a French company. Bruno is charged with coming into the Americas, the US and South America, Canada, Mexico, with finding licensees for the French software product that they had developed. It's a common strategy for companies coming into the US rather than selling their products here is to find people in the local country that will sell. I've asked him to tell us about that, as well as his time as Vice President of Marketing for Olga Gloves, an American production company that set up shop in St. Thomas, a U.S. territory, and I've asked him to talk about that as well. So here's Bruno.
Hello, this is Bruno talking from Paris, back in Paris after 25 years in the US. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about international business development, which is what took me temporarily in 1989 to the US. Of course, you're coming from Europe. You don't even know there's other places than New York. You've heard about Los Angeles, maybe depending what industry you're in, but it's all a big place and you don't know where to go. So we decided to open, we have a joint venture with IBM, which is quite a deal for a small French software company. And we have to open a subsidiary in the US to support the product. And I come temporarily in 1989. We mostly, it is a technical center at the time. IBM sells the product under their name. We also sell the product to large companies. The product is for IBM mainframe, so all our customers are large company. To make a long story short, we spent 3 years in New York because after 6 months, I discovered that I don't need to be in New York. I need an airport and I need a telephone and I can do the job from anywhere. New York is a very exciting city, but it's fairly expensive to set up a subsidiary. I wanted to stay on the East Coast. Geography is important, especially in a large country like the US, because you need to be able to travel to your home country, whatever that may be. In my case, it was Paris. So I looked at all the cities with a direct flight to Paris. Boston, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Washington, Raleigh, Atlanta, and Miami. And cost of living, quality of living, local economy at the time, we're in 1989 or early 1990s. I pick up Raleigh and Atlanta on the short list. And then it's a selfish choice. I spent a week in Atlanta, a week in Raleigh, and I liked Raleigh much better than Atlanta. So I had a 3-year lease on my office in New York, so I waited until '92 to move the company to North Carolina. You need local support when you arrive in a country to set up shop. You certainly need lawyers. You need people that can help you. That help is available. It's usually expensive, but you can do that. Where you can be more on your own, depending what you're selling, but if you have a very targeted market, especially now, I mean, in 1990 there was no Google yet, but especially now it's fairly easy to find who are the players on the market, who are the key customers on the market, how business is done, what is the price of the competition, how do they promote their product, what are the show they go to, do they use what kind of advertising, as I said, how is the product package, what are the needs for that particular market. There may be some need to geo prepare the product for this market. The bread you will sell in India is not going to be like the bread you sell in Paris or the bread you sell in the US. Anyway, so IBM is selling that product. We support it. We start selling the product ourselves shortly thereafter. It's easy to find the customers. There are large companies that have IBM mainframes. We have a good tie with IBM, so I know who I need to go and visit to try to sell my product. There's also if you sell a product itself, you just need to find a network to what's the best way to distribute that product. If the product, and that was my case, the product was needed some expertise to put it into place. So you look for third parties. Again, now it's very easy. Back then you needed to rely to the information you get from the people that you work with. In this case, IBM. So you can find. Um, Usually you will find, unless you, we did both, but usually if you don't come to the US with a subsidiary, or to the US or to another market in your case, you can come with alliances. So you can see who are the company that, I don't know, they could even be competitors or somewhat competitors or co-competitors, people that have the same target, the same market. So we are a subsidiary, but we also needed, and that even if you don't open a subsidiary to enter a market, you can use strategic alliances or distributors. And for that, again, now it's easy. You Google, you see who are the big players. But generally speaking, it's a fairly easy task. Everybody wants a new product to their market where they already have the sales organization to cover the market. So people want your product. That's fairly easy to interest them. Then you need to negotiate, of course, the money part. But really, once you sign an agreement, the job really starts. People want their customers to buy the product, but they don't want to make an effort to sell the product. And you, as the owner of the product, you want them to sell it. So you have to hold their hand and show them that you can really make money, that they can really make money with that. If they see that it's a successful, they can be successful with the product, they will go and run with it. But you have to start the pump. And once the pump is running, then the water keeps flowing. And so with the organization, with IBM on one side, and with the distributors, there were service company that will sell the product with their services to the market. It was a good start. One nice way, especially when you work with large companies, to enter a market is to look at your customer in your own countries. More and more you have international companies, especially the big ones, and they are going to have a subsidiary that in the country target you have, that may be a prospect, or at least it's a captive market for your product. So you can start like this. You look at the customers, the subsidiaries, the allies, the company that are like your customers in your country, and those are always good prospect. Good prospect. You play the game. You don't necessarily want to sell them the product. That's a good occasion to get one of your licensees or distributor under your wing and introduce them to the product and help them do that first deal. Um, product was very successful in Europe because, make a long story short, there's two competitive operating systems on big IBM machines, and we were selling a translator that will translate the thousands of programs that will run under an operating system to make them run under the new operating system of IBM. It's several $100,000 or several million, 6 months to a year operation. It's a fairly heavy operation. That was the product. And in Europe, when IBM said, okay, you all customers, you need to move to that platform because that's the new platform, we're going to forget about that one. Everybody had the problem and had to do it. In the US, there was 13,000 customers of the old platform, the VSC, all large companies. So they just told IBM, you're going to have to support the old platforms. We are too powerful. You cannot just force us to go to the new platform. So my market in the US dried fairly drastically. We are probably in 94, 95 at that point, after a growing market with companies that still wanted to access the new platforms, but instead of having a very large market, I had a very small market of companies that were on the cutting edge and needed the new platform. But the bulk of the market was not going to move to the new platform. So at that point, I got several choices. That's not my original strategy, but either I close shop and I go back to France or to Europe where I can sell the product fairly easily, just leave a minimum organization to support what's going on in the US. Or I do have another market that is right below me. It's the South American market in terms of technology. That market is about 5 years behind the US. So I think I can do the same thing in the US, and I have 5 years to make some money with that product before something happens. Or even better, those countries are like Europe. They are not as big, as powerful in the old platform as the US was, and maybe IBM can force them to switch to the new platform. In which case, I have a big market, and that's really what I'm going to be doing for the next 5 years, getting more than half of my revenue from South America, entering many countries, doing the same thing I did when I came to the US, looking at who are the subsidiaries of my customer in the US, where they are, engaging IBM in that country, asking them for help, finding who are the big players, interesting them, and covering the countries. And the end of that story is 2000, when we sell the company to another software company in the US. I will not stay with the company. So I'm in the US. I've been in the US for 11 years at that point. I have a US family and kids that speak better English than French. So I'm staying. And at that point, all I know how to do is to sell stuff abroad. That's the part where maybe it's a little more difficult for uh, the US have excellent sales organization, sales process. Everything is thought about. In France, in the old companies, it's a little bit more, okay, I know you, I got that product, you buy it. Maybe it's less precise, but the same way, for every country to sell abroad is something that appears difficult. You don't speak the language, you don't, or you do, but it's not your language. There's a different culture. I saw it when I was in South America. All the Americans that were doing business very successfully in South America, they were still gringos. They were not another guy they're doing business with, which was not my case. I do speak Spanish, and that came handy. And I do speak Spanish because without any. I speak Spanish because when I was a kid, I spent time in Spain, so that came to me easily. Where was I? So yeah, we sell the company, and so I'm looking for new adventures for a US company if I want to stay in the US that will sell their product worldwide. And I have a friend of 10 years or 8 years since I have moved to North Carolina. A neighbor I know is making gloves for different industries. I don't know exactly what he's doing, and I know he's successful in the US. So I talked to him. I said, "What's going on? What do you do?" And he explains to me what they do. In the mid '80s, when AIDS came about, all the medical field, the doctors, the nurses, everybody had to wear latex gloves when they were touching patients, that whether it was saliva for the dentist or blood. And 7% of the population is allergic to latex. So 7% of the medical field could not wear those gloves. So this guy invented a very, 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 very thin gloves that you could wear under the latex that will do a barrier, that will protect, that will make that the skin doesn't touch the latex, and thin enough that you have the dexterity if you're a surgeon to keep doing your job. So great product, selling fantastically in the US. He found with the same product other avenues to sell, or even other industries to cover. For example, the photographic industries. Again, we're in the 80s. We don't use the cell phone to take pictures. We have cameras, and there's film that you have to develop, and when you touch the negative with your finger, you put digital print. So another avenue to sell those gloves in the assembly market. If you assemble mother cards for PCs, for example, you can have static electricity. You can touch them with your fingers and so on. So there's various market with this product. And I say, well, what do you do with this product outside of the US? And he says, which is fairly typical, well, I'm too busy with my success in the US. I don't have the time. Those people don't talk like me, so I don't want to answer them. I don't know what to tell them. And I don't know how to do it. And I said, well, fine, if you want, I take the international operations of your business. And that was fairly easy as a job too, because you could take the best product he had. He had other product, cut resistant gloves, heat resistant gloves. All the industrial market was covered. So you take the product that's the easiest to sell in the market that is the easiest to sell because you know it culturally. For me, that was France or Spain. Because you know people there, maybe, or because you want to go because you've never visited I don't know, Italy, and you decided it's a good way to discover Italy to try to enter this market. Anyway, you pick a market, you look at the market. Again, very easy to do these days with Google, and you find what's the best product. You go see the biggest distributor. I'm going to do a little parenthesis on the distributors here. Uh, you don't know who is the best distributor for a country. You can choose the biggest one, thinking he has the most customers and the most salespeople, and therefore he's going to be the true, the best way for you to cover that market. But that's not necessarily the case, because if this guy is already the biggest, that means he already has plenty of product, and your product is going to be one of many products, not necessarily the one they're going to be working hard and pushing because they can make money with it. And on the other side, you can have a fairly small company that really was looking, they were doing services, but they have a few customers, but they're very good at what they do, and they don't really necessarily have a product or a platform for development, and you give them a chance to grow, and they will take your product and run with it like if it was their product. That's their only source of income per se, and they do a fantastic job with your product and everything in middle. But the size of the distributor is not necessarily the best, doesn't tell you that you're going to be successful in that market or not. Close the parenthesis on the size of the distributor. So you find distributor of gloves for the photo market, gloves for the medical market, and you go visit them and you sell them. And in 2 years, I had 30 distribution agreements in 20 some countries, and 20% of the revenues of the company was coming from here. So that was the nice part of the story. That story ends a little bit abruptly when the Chinese, the guy had patent on both on the fabric to knit the gloves. They were knitted gloves, on the fabric to knit the gloves, and on the way to knit the glove, because he had one size fits all. Quite a clever product, protected in the US by US patent and so on. But a few years later, came to the US a glove from China, exactly the same glove as ours, and also, and that's important because we don't necessarily think about that when we think about competition from China, but of a quality that was very comparable to what we could make. So a very good product arrived in the US market, completely stolen as far as the idea is concerned, and at a price that is under what I can buy the fiber to knit the glove in the US. So that's the end of that glove and strategy. Now you can, if you're a big company, you call your lawyers and you pursue that patent in China. That's something you can do. That's something any company can do, but it costs $1 or $2 million, which a small company doesn't have. So that was the end of that part of the glove business. So that's my 2 cents on international business. I can cover many topics, because in 25 years, whether you want or not, you learn some things. But I think really the idea from the get-go, and you have an inconvenience, is you Americans, is that you don't necessarily speak many languages, but you have an advantage is that you speak well the language that is used in trade. So it's that's something that you have, and it's important because when you negotiate in a language that it's not yours, it's a little more difficult. You're not going to have the precise, sharp word to explain what you want because you don't know it in the new language. For example, when I dealt with the software distributor, the software service company in Mexico, all the negotiation was done in English. I told them I spoke Spanish only once the contract was signed, which they insulted me for around the drink. It was all well, but because I know that was much more difficult for them to speak English than, and it was more difficult for me to speak Spanish than English as well. So that's the thing. So with the web, it's easy to find information and really a lot of very pertinent information on a foreign market, even on the culture of that market. So do a little bit of reading. There's some big no-nos. You don't show the sole of your shoes in an Arab country. When a Japanese man tells you yes, he's not telling you yes that he agrees. He's just telling you that he's listening and understanding what you say. There's books for that, but at least read a little bit of the country you're going to. And when you read about it, you'll understand how the people work a little bit better, and they want your product. Once you find them and sell them the product, that's really just when the job starts. And then you make friends for life, and it's very enriching. You learn a lot from culture. You keep your own culture and you understand other culture, and that makes you that makes you grow, and that also makes you tolerant, because the more you travel, the more you see that there's stupid people and bright people everywhere, and that really the religion or the color of the skin or the color of the hair is not of great importance. The main reason, maybe we should have started there, but the main reason to sell a product internationally is because it is much easier to get 5% of a new market than to grow your market share for 20% to 21%. So it's easy. Also, because I have keep telling you it's easy, that means that you don't need to do a plan of 2 years to enter a market with buying a company that is already there. You can do some tests of the market. You can easily test your market. You just need to take your product in your suitcase, do a little bit of research, go in a country, show it, talk to the people, and see maybe you can do a deal that will that will already start your international operation. That's it for me. Good luck to you, and the paths are many, and maybe we'll cross again. Goodbye.
You're so cute.